TFLEV is brought to you by Flow Charger, maker of reliable, high-quality charging stations for your electric vehicle.
Howdy folks, I have some good news for you. Let's say you wanted a choice between a hybrid, a plug-in hybrid, or an all-electric vehicle. Well, Kia's got you covered because the all-new 2023 Kia Niro comes in 3 flavors. But there's a little bit more. Aside from the fact that we have all-new exterior and interior stylings, the tech has improved. So there are big differences. We're going to start with the hybrid. Now this is essentially the entry-level model, but it has a lot of differences, and it all starts on the outside. If you recall, the original Kia Niro, which I was never a big fan of, to be honest with you, well, that one had these kind of droopy-looking headlights right here, and it just kind of looked a little frumpy, just to me. But there's a lot going on with the new one, and they wanted to make a family resemblance, starting with, of course, this grille design, which is completely unique from the other one. It's kind of got a little Cylon in it, for those of you who are Battlestar Galactica fans, but it also has this unique headlight design, which you will see functioning on other cars in a minute. But all of this is different for one main reason. The platform is different. This actually shares platform with Hyundai and Kia products that are bigger than before. So instead of it being the Kia Niro platform with the rehashed exterior, all new platform for the Niro. Okay, now what about the side design? Now it's interesting because they did a lot of elements that repeat themselves throughout the vehicle. And that's including this right here. Check it out. Look where my hand is. Isn't that cool? Now, that's obviously your turn signal, but it's just a really cool style element that does match the front end design. There's more. This kick panel is supposed to kind of look off-roady, and so are the fenders. But there's something that's always been bugging me about the Niro. I know I've said it before. They do call it an SUV just because of its shape, but it doesn't offer all-wheel drive. And in my mind, in order for something to be called a crossover, which is really what they're saying, or an SUV, it really does have to offer that. Let's keep talking about the exterior a little bit more, because I bet you're wondering about this. Now, some people call this a blade or a wing or a sail. Not only is this a design element, which by the way, I think looks kind of handsome, but it's also functional. If you look very carefully through there, you might see some daylight, and there's a very good reason for that. They take the airflow, which you can see these little vents here, and they channel it back here. And according to them, it's better for high-speed stability and a little bit of a help when it comes to MPGs. So it's a little bit more efficient because of the design, form and function and all that. Yes, it has a 139 horsepower power plant that puts out 195 pound-feet of torque, and it works with a 32 kilowatt electric motor. But here's the big deal. Very similar powertrain from the past, right? All 3 of these cars are, but they all bump up a little bit. So this one, gas mileage, 53 mpg, 53. Damn. One other thing that makes the regular hybrid unique is that it has the only gear lever amongst the 3 of them. That's right, proper gear lever. The other 2, rotary dials. Now the plug-in hybrid, once again, has received some stuff to make it a little bit beefier. In this case, torque is the same as the regular hybrid. However, horsepower jumps up to 180, which is impressive. It also has an 11.1 kilowatt hour battery. Plug-in hybrid, right? So you get up to 33 miles of all electric driving. As such, this does qualify for certain carpool lanes where they require an electric vehicle. No fast charging available, but the good news is this vehicle has more performance, it's more efficient, and of course, larger interior, actually larger in every way than its previous model. As a matter of fact, all 3 of these cars, compared to the former ones, are longer, wider, and taller, and have a much larger interior. Some of the best room in class, as a matter of fact. You see this? Well, the big deal here is that if you look at all 3 vehicles from the back especially, you cannot tell the difference between them with the exception of this. They all look almost identical with only minor differences. This is the electric Niro with a 64.8 kilowatt hour battery. It's pretty big, but it's not huge. And that gives this vehicle a maximum range of 253 miles. Now, I always said the sweet spot was 250. It's like they listened to me, so they gave it a little bit more. That's great. Also, looky here, you can fast charge it. 85 kilowatt capacity. Now, bear in mind that its big brother is twice as fast, and that would be the EV6. But obviously, this is a much less expensive vehicle. Of course, pricing is not available yet. You'd have to go online and look at the current car and kind of figure roughly around the ballpark of what it currently costs, maybe a little tiny bit more. And then you'd have this one. But there's more. 201 horsepower, 188 pound-feet of torque. Not too bad. One of the things they wanted to make sure is that all three vehicles have usable space. So despite the fact that this has an electric powertrain, batteries, and all that other stuff, and despite the fact that the PHEV has both a gas engine, an electric motor, and batteries, they really don't lose much space between all three of them. In fact, you'll be hard-pressed to notice it. Remember I told you I'd show you the headlight design? Well, there you go. You're welcome. Look at that. I think it's pretty cool. Now, this is driving lights, of course, but the bottom line is that all three of them look very much the same from up front. In fact, the easiest way to tell the difference between all three of these are the wheels. These are rather specific to this model, to the electric vehicle, whereas in the hybrid and the plug-in hybrid have very similar wheels. Now, one question that many of you have, what about a heat pump? For those of you who don't know, heat pump is very, very good for batteries in cold climates because once everything's heated, it works more efficiently. Well, yes, you can get one. It is an option. Well, hello and welcome to the all-electric Kia Niro. Yeah, they've had it before, but this one is completely different. And the news is mostly good. The design of the interior is very modern, despite the fact that this is probably one of the least expensive electric vehicles you can buy now. They've done a lot to this vehicle to make it more efficient and to make it roomier inside. The room is ginormous by comparison. There are a couple things. Now, first of all, I love the screens. Once again, Kia has been fantastic with adding tech and making it very usable. These screens, which are 10.2 and change, very, very sharp, very well placed, great to use, no complaints. My complaint is here. This is technically a screen. These buttons, which don't really have haptic feedback or anything on them, well, I don't really know if I'm clicking them as I'm driving. I've noticed this on other vehicles that I've driven by the same manufacturer. Now, fortunately, they do have some hard buttons here. That does help quite a bit. I do like having a proper volume knob. I'm an old man, I like it. Good tuning knob here. But I really would like these to be buttons. I know that this is less money in the end, especially when they mass produce this section to put in other vehicles. I get it, but it is an issue. This interior essentially is the same with all three cars. You can jump out of one and jump into this one, and you'll have essentially the same layout, with the exception, of course, of the gear lever and a couple other little settings here and there. Obviously, this is all electric. Those things use gas. That's one of the big differences. But the seat design, the seat feel, the door design, the panels, everything feels pretty much the same. And I wanted to talk to you about that because I have something very interesting for you that I'm going to tell you about in the back seat. All right, let's try this. Now, at the New York Auto Show, Andre sat in one of these, and he didn't have quite enough legroom because he has ridiculously long legs, and I think that's a genetic mutation. Fortunately, my legs are kind of stubby, and if I sit properly, I have just enough space behind me to be fairly comfortable, although I normally sit like this because manly man. Other thing is that they have these incorporated sections here, which are actually good for hanging things. I'm quite serious, like coat hangers and whatnot, and jackets and shirts. Rear vents, that's a plus, especially in a car of this size. And headroom isn't too bad. I can look straight up and not hit my head. Now, if I had gorgeous hair like my buddy Andre or even Roman, it probably might touch a little bit. But for the most part, headroom isn't too bad either. But there's a secret. I wanted to tell you guys about what they're doing for those of you who love the environment, and that is they're using recycled eucalyptus and old bottles to make this interior. I kid you not, they're actually using those components. We've been with these cars for over an hour, and I've had all three trunks of the Niros opened, lowered the seats, and I honestly cannot tell the difference in terms of cargo space between the three of them. Now, Kia will release official numbers a little bit later, but at least from my eye, they're almost identical, which, by the way, is a good thing because there's a ton of space. Look at this. That's tons of space. Very good. I could throw 2 bikes in there, 1 Roman, an extra burrito, and a dog. So to recap, the 2023 Kia Niro PHEV, better performance than before, remarkable distance, 33 miles on a relatively small battery, and all new platform for all 3 of these cars. Then we go over to the regular hybrid, 53 miles per gallon. That is just crazy. And then to the electric, all electric Niro EV, 253 miles range, which is really impressive. Now granted, for those of you who are thinking, I can get this for a bargain compared to its big brother, the EV6, and you'd be right. I guarantee it's gonna be a lot cheaper, but also a smaller battery and slower charge time. Basically, double the time for this to charge than the EV6, which I'm okay with, but I don't know about you guys. Anyway, thank you for joining me. I hope you guys learned a little bit about the Niro family that's coming. Pretty much an all-new car. I'll see you guys next time.